Hey, Coach. Just talk a little bit about what you see in North Texas as you guys head into this game.
Well, I've really not had a chance to dive into them defensively. I've been watching their offense for most of the day. I think Coach Morris is an excellent coach, excellent offensive mind. I think they're doing some really good things schematically that really challenge you. They stretch you horizontally, they stretch you vertically. Really balanced offense. I think just turned 300 yards a game throwing it and just under 200 running it. And so similar to the team we saw last week, they take what you give them, do a nice job of that, and just a really good coach, talented at the skill positions, pretty good on the O line and the quarterback. Similar to what we saw last week is a good athlete that can beat you with his feet as well. So some quarterback run stuff, and anytime you can run it and throw it like that, and the quarterback can run it as well, it's a challenge. So certainly have our hands full. Team that's scoring, they scored 39 points or better the last 3 games. Won their last 2 games, so we got a great challenge in front of us.
You guys recruit Texas very heavily as a service academy. Is this a good opportunity for you guys to kind of come into Texas and play in front of some kids you probably are going to want to chase in recruiting?
Yeah, I think certainly we go. I guess we go down there next year, right? So that'll be a good opportunity for us to play down in Texas, play SMU and Dallas this year. But yeah, certainly it's a critical state for us. We have a lot of kids on our team from Texas, so it's a good opportunity.
All right, thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Brett.
Okay, I'm just going to go left to right as it appears on my screen. So Scott Wyckoff. Let's go 3 questions each, too, since we've got a lot of people on.
Okay, great. Coach, coming off last week, do you hope to find some rhythm now that both the bye weeks are gone early in the season? And I know that you guys did play well against Memphis when you came right off directly after that. Are you looking to find some rhythm?
Yeah, absolutely. It's funny that you mentioned that because we were talking about that earlier as a staff. We probably played our best overall football in a short week, and then you get 16 days in between games, and you felt like we were a little rusty. And it's been an odd schedule. As you guys know, we've talked about it a lot. So I think, playing South Florida, just had played 2 games since we played our last game. I think that certainly affected us a little bit. I don't want to use that as an excuse. We knew what it was. We prepared as best as we could, but it will be nice, Scott, to get back into a rhythm of a normal game week, and so I'm excited about that. We need to go play, I feel like the Notre Dame game was a year ago, and we're only 4 games in. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting into more of a routine here.
And as part of that, also this week having back-to-back home games to add to that routine.
Yeah, for sure. It's nice to be home again, and you had to sit on the Memphis game for 16 days. I wanted to sit on this one for 5 or 6, right? So I'm excited to get back on field, and our kids are going to be chomping at the bit again too. So get that taste out of our mouth.
Looking this week at practice, looking at some little things that make a big difference in games. Seems like going into the Texas game that if you can clean up, that'd make a big difference.
Yeah, it always is. It's the same thing we said coming out of the Memphis game. There's 3 or 4 plays that are always critical in a game like when we just got done playing, and that was certainly the case against South Florida. And despite the score and what it may have looked like, that was a close game, and there's a few plays that go a little differently, and again, things that we can control. It's a different football game, so you're sitting at 1-3, and we talk about 1-0, and that's the most important thing around here. But you could easily be 3-1, and very realistically be 2-2 at this point. So there's things we got to clean up, and we got to do a better job of in all 3 phases, and we got to coach better. We got to make sure that there's no gray in what we're asking our players to do, so they can go out and play fast and execute at a high level. But we got to get better at the fundamentals and the techniques of the things that we're doing, and we got to be more disciplined. And so I'm hoping there'll be a great improvement in those things this week.
Thanks, Coach.
Yes, sir.
All right, I was muted. Mike James.
Hey, Coach. Just wondering if there's anything that now that you had a chance to look at the film, is there anything that changes what you thought you saw on Saturday?
No, not really. I think Wags asked me after the game about our tackling, and at the time I didn't think it was was awful. But you go back and look, and we had about 20 missed tackles on defense, which is way too many. We're not going to win a lot of games like that. I thought outside the last couple of drives, we were a little gassed. I thought we handled the run game and contained the quarterback, really well. But we missed too many tackles out in the perimeter, out in space, and obviously we can't do that. Got to get that cleaned up, and there's some things that we could have done, as a staff to help our players a little bit, especially in the fourth quarter there, some things that we were doing. But no, I think my assessment of the game right after was pretty spot on for the most part.
The changing quarterbacks in the first quarter after the first couple of drives, was that something that was planned to happen, or is that based on what you were seeing from the defense?
Yeah, it was something that we planned on doing, and then how we proceeded from there was kind of really based on what they were giving us, what they were allowing us to potentially do, and felt like Blake gave us the best chance to be successful in that situation. But yeah, that's what we did there.
Looking what USF does offensively, they really have some really spread formations. They'll put wide receivers out, beyond the numbers. Does that affect how you're able to disguise your own coverages a little bit? Sure. And kind of hide what you're trying to do? Yeah,
sure. I mean, that's part of the reason why they do it, right? They want to spread you out. And it forces you to define what you're doing a little bit. Forces you guys to have to make plays in space, but it also helps them identify some things that you're doing, and a big RPO team, and so it helps to find things for the quarterback a little bit. It certainly does create some issues.
All right. Thanks, Coach.
Mm-hmm.
Joe Miller.
Hey, Coach, I wanted to sort of ask, you touched on it a little bit, but how do you convey, because there's a lot of things that are almost there for you guys. You've done a lot of great things, but you just haven't gotten over the hump. How do you keep the team together? How do you, I know it's still early in the season, and there's still a lot to play for, but what's the message to the team that say, is it, we're really close, we just got to keep on going? What's the message to the team?
Yeah, well, I think it's really similar to the message that we gave them after the Memphis game, and we're really close. We're really, really close, and I think as a staff, we've got to take ownership of some things that we can do better and help them with, and they've got to take ownership of some things as well. And there's a ton of room for improvement, which is exciting and frustrating at the same time. You want that improvement to happen faster, and I don't feel any different about our football team than I did before the USF game, and what I think we can do, and what I think we can accomplish, and who I think we can be. And so that hasn't changed, and so I'm going to make sure they understand that today when we have a team meeting. But I'm going to talk to them also about being an asset, not a liability. And there's some guys that we're counting on right now that fall into a little bit more of a liability category than do an asset a lot of times. And so that's going to be the message today, and for all those guys. But we know here at the Naval Academy, we're never going to be perfect, but we've got to be darn near close. The margin for error is really, really small. And we have to take pride in how disciplined we are in the way we play. And didn't think we were a super disciplined team on Saturday. And that's my responsibility. That's on me. And we'll do everything we can to get that fixed.
Yeah, we talked a little bit, you've used, be elite at execution. And I know those penalties, it seems like it's one thing to be the penalties, but it seems like they've always kind of hit at the, on a first down and 10, and now it's 1st and 15. It's been the timing of those penalties have really also been a double whammy. I mean, obviously you don't want to get penalties, but it seems like it's always come at the wrong time, it seems like, this year.
Yeah, it has. And some foolish penalties. We can't have procedural penalties. We can't have delay game penalties. We can't rough a kicker on 4th and 5 and give the first down up. And so that those are really frustrating things that we don't do a whole lot around here. I think winning that game, we were the least penalized team in the country, and UCF was USF was one of the most penalized teams. And I think we had 7 for 80 yards or 8 for 70 yards. And 2 on special teams is unacceptable. And we got to get that cleaned up, and we will.
Last one for me. The offense, it seemed like early, especially on first down, you kind of first maybe 4 or 5 drives kind of really struggled on first down. And then the rest of the game, you guys did really well on first down and kind of set the offense going. Was there any changes that you guys made, midway through the contest, or differences that got things going offensively on first down for you guys?
Yeah, well, you know what, it goes back. We got to be efficient on first down, and when we are, things usually go pretty good. And when we're not, we get behind the sticks, we get off track a little bit. And the frustrating thing for us offensively right now is we had 4 or 5 3-and-outs in that game, and we can't do that, especially against a team like South Florida that goes fast. And we've got to get first downs. We've got to sustain drives. 11 first downs in that game is just simply not good enough. And we got to execute better on 1st and 10 and stay on track and convert and stay on the field and keep our defense off the field as much as we possibly can. That's the formula for success around here, right? It's possess the football, grind people out. We weren't able to do that on Saturday.
Thanks, Coach.
Bill Wagner.
Coach, I haven't had a chance to see any North Texas film. How would you describe their offense? Is it similar to what South Florida does with the spread and high tempo, or is it? Would you liken it to some other? How would you?
Sure. There's some similarities. Not quite as fast. Don't spread you out quite the way that South Florida did, but very balanced. A lot like South Florida. Very effective running and throwing the football. Able to take what you give them. A lot of motion, a lot of formations, problematic, getting lined up and defending everything that they do is multiple personnel groupings. South Florida went fast. They didn't change personnel a whole lot, but North Texas will. But another really challenging offense to face this week, and good quarterback and good skill players. And so I think, they're averaging just under 40 points a game and 450 yards of offense. And they're balanced. So it's going to be a great challenge for us.
So I know Mike James, like me, gets inundated with the fans sending emails and whatnot. And obviously people posting to Twitter, but the prevailing theme among the fans is they don't like 2-quarterback system, settle on 1 quarterback. But I know Mike got the same thing I did. They seem split on which quarterback. And that's kind of why you're using 2 quarterbacks. Where are you? What what's your thought? Do you feel like you've got to settle on 1, or are you in a situation where that's just, you don't have the 1 and you need to use 2 to get done what you need to get done?
Yeah. Well, I think you would love to settle in on 1. We just haven't been able to do that yet. And I think, as far as the situation goes this week and how we're going to proceed, I'm a little hesitant to talk about it right now on a Monday before we've gotten into the position meetings and team meeting and things like that. But we certainly got to get better there, and we will. And I think we've got to get Braxton cranked up. I think he's practiced really well and probably deserves an opportunity as well. And so we're going to look at all 3 of those guys this week. And we're going to do everything we can to win football games and put the guys on the field to give us the best chance to win. And that's what we're going to do. And, I don't pay attention to the Twitter messages or the emails and things in regards to that. I know you guys probably have to a little bit, but I promise you we're going to do whatever we can to give ourselves the best chance to win. And that's always the mission around here.
So I think this is in Scott's notes, but I think Navy's 4-13 or 5-13 at home since 2020. How important is it to reestablish the home field advantage? And I mean, losing games at home is painful, especially conference games.
Yeah, I think it's really important. We take a lot of pride, and we talk about it all the time around here. Who we are at home and the product we put on the field in front of our fans here in Annapolis, and get people that come to watch us play is really important. And I hate losing, but I certainly hate losing here. And our kids know how important it is. And what else can you say about it? We want to win every game we play, but we certainly want to win our home games, and we got to do better.
Pete Medhurst.
Coach, Eric really did some innovative things offensively at Incarnate Word. The one year he obviously went to Pullman was really good. What is it about what he tries to scheme up offensively that maybe is the most challenging thing to prepare for?
They just attack you a lot of different ways. They spread you out. You get a lot of formations, a lot of motion, like I mentioned earlier. Some really good things conceptually, throwing the ball in, running the football, keep you off balance. Do a really good job of that. Like I said, they challenge you vertically and horizontally and spread you out pretty good. Different personnel groupings, and I didn't follow his offense with the incarnate word. And the other places that he's been, but I know he's one of the most respected offensive minds in the country, and he's doing a really good job. I think he's using his personnel as he should, and that's what great coaches do. They take what they have and they make the most of it, and I think Coach Morris certainly does that.
You've had 4 weeks to look at it from a different perspective. How much different is looking at the game as the head coach down on the field compared to the coordinator who was watching it from up above?
Yeah, very different, very different. I'm involved on both sides of the football, and I think a lot of head coaches are kind of one way or the other, and that's where they spend most of their time. And I'm not sure if it's the right thing to do, but I'm kind of right in the middle right now, and enjoying that. And for me, I want to be dialed into the game plans on both sides, so I know what's going on, and provide feedback and help in any way that I can. But yeah, it's very different being down on the field, getting used to seeing things. I've been in the box for a long time now, and it's much different. But I'm enjoying it, and I'm just trying to figure out how I can be the best asset for both Coach Walker and Coach Chestnut on game days.
I know there's no timetable as it pertains to identifying your best players, but particularly at quarterback, is the timetable, does it have to be sooner rather than later in trying to identify which one of the three guys getting the most of the work now, can, in your mind and the staff's mind, give you the best chance to win?
Yeah, you'd obviously like it to be sooner than later, and we try to speed that up as much as we possibly can. But obviously, like I've mentioned before, Blake is essentially didn't play for us last year. Took his first college football snaps this year and hadn't played a ton of snaps, and so I think he's going to get a ton better. And he needs reps, he needs game reps, he needs experience. And Braxton, a direct true freshman who's very, very talented, just needs the reps. It's just a matter of us being comfortable putting those guys in the game and feeling good that they can go in there and run the show and operate at a high level. And so that's where we're at right now. We're doing everything we can to speed that progress along. But you can't push it either, right? Those guys are going to come along as fast as we can get them to come along. But you obviously don't want to put a guy in and ask him to do something before he's completely ready.
Thank you.
All right, we'll make another trip around. Let's do 2 questions each this time. Brett Vito.
You muted, Brett.
I'm good.
You're good? All righty. Scott Wyckoff.
Coach, coming off last week, it looks as though Luke Pierce really has a nose for the ball. How's his development coming as a sophomore?
Really good. Really good. Scott was super impressed with the way that he played coming in for Jordan Saturday. He plays our style of football. He flies around. He's fearless. He's physical. Wish he was 10 or 15 pounds heavier right now, and he will be in the future. But really, really pleased with his effort and just the way that he plays, not only on defense, but on special teams as well. So really excited about Luke.
And like you'd say, growing into that body at 6'4" seems to be the model that you've been recruiting over since you've been there trying to those positions.
Yeah, for sure. We want a tall, long kid, at that position at Raider in the boundary that can, rush the quarterback and drop out into coverage and do some things in that regard. And the guy's got to have some versatility to him. And so we like that 6'4" kid. It was a basketball player in high school, an athlete. But it's got to be big enough to obviously go up and put his hands on an offensive tackle on a tight end. So that's certainly the physical characteristics that we're looking for.
Thanks.
Mike James.
I'm good. Thanks, Scott.
Joe Miller.
I'm good. Thank you.
Wags.
Coach, your long snapper went out on Saturday. How much is there a concern? Is he not going to be back for a while? And if not, is the second guy ready? I mean, I don't know what the film showed. Was that a bad snap or should that have been handled, that one extra point?
Yeah, we had um, a personnel issue. Got a guy on the field late, and Holder felt a little rushed the snap count. So the whole thing was a bit of a debacle, to be honest with you. And should have just taken the delay if we felt like we were going to run out of time. If they reset the clock, Holder didn't realize they'd reset it. We got in a little bit of a bind there, and should have relaxed and run the normal snap count. We didn't do that, and so a little bit of a high snap, catchable ball went through his hands, and the rest is history. But that kind of stuff can't happen. It's a 3-point swing right there. Bad deal.
So we've talked about how difficult it is to play as a plebe at quarterback, but it has happened here recently. I mean, Keenan Reynolds did it, but he was a bit of an outlier. They knew who he was coming in, and he had come to Navy during spring camp to spend 2 weeks. He took spring break from his high school to spend 2 weeks here, and they gave him the playbook to take home over the summer. So he's a little different. He has a bit of a head start. But then Zach Abey got forced to play as a freshman. Correct me if I'm wrong, Strauss, but that was due to injury, and he probably wasn't ready. But bottom line, I guess what I'm asking is, if you decide to play Braxton, do you just pare down the offense a little bit and just cater to his strengths, what he does well?
Yeah, I think it's something you certainly have to consider. You don't want to carry too much in, or something that he's not comfortable with. And I'll tell you, he's a really smart kid. He was out here in spring ball, taking notes and watching practices, and I think anybody that knows Keen knows he's how much of a confident young man he is and was, and that was part of the reason why I think he had some success early, and I think Braxton's got a little bit of that in him too, and I think he just needs to get out there and get some snaps and roll, and you never know until you have to go, and so I'm excited to see when that does happen. What Braxton can do, but he's certainly a talented kid. He's really smart, but we got to make sure he's comfortable with everything that we're doing, obviously, if we're going to put him in there and ask him to run our offense.
So I asked you after the game about, it seemed like you're beating your head against the wall trying to run, fullback up the middle against where they basically were putting 10, 11 guys in the box. When you looked at your tape, did you see opportunities to maybe throw some short little flare passes, kind of the short passing game that could have maybe loosened them up a little bit as opposed to strictly the down the field stuff?
Yeah, I think so. I think there's certainly some things that we could have done to help ourselves and mix some things up, keep them a little more off balance. And I think Coach Chaz will be the first one to tell you that. Some calls that he'd like to get back. And, we're always evaluating ourselves, extremely hard on ourselves. And, as a coordinator, there's always, I was this way as a defense coordinator, there's always 4 or 5 plays that you'd like to get back and something schematical that you wish you'd done a little bit differently. And that was certainly the case, on Sunday. And we will moving forward. I really love what we're doing offensively, and the versatility that's within our offense. And we just got to do a little better job of doing that. And we will.
Thanks, Coach.
Thanks, Wags.
Malcolm played 2 games as quarterback as a plebe, but not Zach Abey. Zach did not play.
I think what I was thinking is that Abey was the first player to have to make his first career start against Army. That's what threw me.
That is true. Yeah. Pete.
Coach, just to follow up on what you were just talking about, as coaches, how much do you have to coach yourselves right now? As much as we talk about coaching up the players, philosophically, what you all have done traditionally on defense usually works. Offensively, you got guys running wide open all over the field when you're trying to pass. Getting the ball from point A to point B has been the greatest challenge there.
Yeah.
But the plays are there. The concepts are there. How do you coach each other up right now to keep that confidence within yourselves about what you're trying to accomplish from that standpoint?
Sure. Well, then you see it on film that it's there, or that we're a leverage block away from the P-back hitting, or just a misread away from us being an exact right play, or it's just inches off of taking a shot and not getting it. So it's good that you see that. It's frustrating that we haven't made it happen, but when we do throw the ball and we have those opportunities, I've been saying it all year, we have to hit those shot plays, when they're open, and we haven't been able to do that yet. But we just got to keep getting better. You know, it's the things are there, but we have to capitalize, you know, on those opportunities when we get them. You know, and they're, like you said, I think second play of the game, right? We had a guy open by 15 yards behind the defender. We got to hit that throw. And, Blake had another one. We had a deep cross. It was wide open. We overthrew it. So we have to be able to hit those shots. And don't expect us to be perfect. We're not going to complete every ball, but certainly when we play action, we take shots. We're doing it because we see something that we think we can get. And when they're wide open, we don't hit them. It's tough. But we just got to keep getting better, and we will.